Have you ever just simply flipped the coin, taken a 50-50 chance on a huge life decision? That is exactly what I did on my last video, the day before I published. Let me explain as we go. My name is Dainty, and let me quickly bring you up to speed. I built a giant soccer ball shaped dome, attached it to my shed as a new workspace extension. It's made out of 26 pallets, and I love it. It is now the home for my CNC, which was previously mounted on a roll-in, roll-out cabinet, and it was protected by a plywood cubby house and some black plastic. Right, the dome video. So many comments on windows. Any windows going in? You need windows. Why no windows? Have you got plans to maybe put in some windows? There will be windows in this video, I promise. But today's main event is soundproofing the CNC. And when I say soundproofing, I mean cutting down the noise a lot. It is going to be less annoying for the neighbours, and more importantly, way less screaming in my ears while I work. Because the full business human needs that machine to work while I work. Building a CNC enclosure was not on my radar at all when I built the dome. Then I saw a clip online of some dude who made a soundproof box for his CNC, and I thought that was genius. I apologise, I do not recall who that was. Anyway, I looked around YouTube. I saw plenty of makers had already done this anyway, so I grabbed the basics, got the gist, and I thought I might give that a bash. Alrighty, so as I start building this enclosure, let me just quickly take you back to the coin flip moment. I've been trying to push YouTube as a big part of my business. My last video, the giant soccer ball, was a gamble. Get yourself a Dave Kelly. Get yourself a Dave Kelly. Get yourself a Dave Kelly. First, let me say I wanted to build the dome because I thought it would be cool, recognisable, somewhat of a brain scratcher to try and figure out and build. But I also want to try and reach a wider audience, and I figured I need to try something different with my channel. Want a refund on that one, Dave? So the day before I published, I said, I need a sign. I need a sign from the YouTube gods. And how that video performed was going to be that sign. Out of the blocks, the video absolutely bombed. Normally, you get those friendly little banners in your YouTube Studio app like, this video is appealing to wider audiences, or this video is performing as usual. It's like a little pat on the back by YouTube. Then I got a banner that I've never seen before. YouTube basically told me that my subscribers were not interested at all. No sugarcoating. YouTube literally slapped me in the face. Thank you, algorithm. Appreciate the sign. Got the message loud and clear, and I lolled to myself. But you can't give up. I changed the thumbnail a few times. I end up sticking my face back on the thumbnail, which I normally do that on all my videos. And then, suddenly, the graph started to climb. It fought its way out of the flatline territory and eventually broke through the average zone. The banners get a bit more positive from here, the ticks go green, and you feel good on the inside. Thankfully, the vid moved past the previous video that had about 45,000 views, which I literally glued wood together for that video. And now the dome has just clicked over 95,000 views. Happy days. Now this is by no means a viral video, but it is well above my average. And the sign from YouTube gods was just keep going. And the result was a simple reminder to myself to believe in myself. Now I'll be honest, I am nowhere near ready to go full business human. Not yet anyway. So it was not like I was going to quit my day job on the numbers of one video. That's crazy talk. There are so many things I still need to put in place before that even becomes a real option. And like a lot of you, I've got adult responsibilities feeding and housing other humans. So while I'd love to flip a coin and dive straight into the dream, reality says I need to build this thing carefully, step by step. And if you found me through that video, welcome. I hope you stick around and binge the channel. But for now, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, that'd be great. So why a soundproof box? The dome gave me a cool, weatherproof and future transportable workspace. But now it's not complete. The CNC is a noisy bastard. Again, I got myself a Dave Kelly, who dropped off a mountain of pallets, but also delivered these rando pine boxes with really long, nice lengths of pine, and that'll give me everything I need to build the CNC frame without hunting down more wood. I will have to go and buy other materials like plasterboard, tape, jig rob, goop, and other hardwares, etc. Now, building a simple square box would be faster and easier to make, but fitting a square box inside a round dome is not so easy, especially when the dome is designed around a CNC, not around the box. That was an afterthought. I had to custom fit the frame that matched the dome's shape so it could be pushed tight against the walls but still maximise the space required inside the enclosure itself, and without completely taking over my nice new little space that I've created out there. I needed to create the internal space to not only fit all the moving parts of the CNC but also give the extraction hose plenty of room to move above so it doesn't snag itself while it's doing its thing. As we watch this video, let's not focus on my carpentry skills or my plastering skills. They're even dodgier. This enclosure is still just shop furniture. It needs to function without costing me massive amounts of time and energy. It does not mean that it cannot get some bling though. The dust extractor is actually louder. Well, not quite. That one's a bit loud, but I don't think that's overly annoying for the neighbours at all. So if it went all day, sure. But I think once this is soundproof, we're looking pretty good. Right, steel beams. Let me give you one big tip. If you don't already own some steel beams of various sizes, get yourself some. Seriously, they will save you in more crazy situations, like this one, than you can imagine. I used mine to rig up a little rail system so I could slide the monster of a box into the dome without blowing out my poo-poo valve. They also double up as brilliant clamping options for awkward projects, or they'll just help you clamp up things nice and straight. The bigger challenge wasn't all the dodgy cuts for this box, it was the workout. I lost count of how many times I had to climb in and around the box, ducking and weaving, smashing my dome, crawling underneath or squeezing through the awkward gaps to fix the bits I'd accidentally missed after I installed the thing. I reckon I got more exercise building this enclosure than I have in the last few months. Oh, fuck. Inside the enclosure wall, I lined the void with thick old removalist blankets. The idea is quite simple. The sound goes in, it bounces around, and hopefully dies inside the walls instead of leaking out. That's enough science for me, and I assume at this point it's going to work just fine. Oh, bloody beautiful, mate. Now, I did say this enclosure is going to get some bling, which brings me on to this video's sponsor, which is Bamboo Lab. Let me quickly introduce you to the Bamboo Lab H2 H2D, the best all-in-one DIY powerhouse. This isn't just a 3D printer, it is your personal manufacturing hub, engineered to deliver outstanding performance on every project. What makes the H2D H2D truly revolutionary is the dual head 3D printer. D, as I found out, stands for dual. Imagine seamlessly combining two different filaments in a single print. Think durable PLA parts with flexible TPU gaskets all in one go, or strong PETG alongside a delicate support material that can easily break away. The possibilities, multi-material designs are absolutely endless, and this opens up advanced techniques made surprisingly accessible. It intelligently optimizes filament usage and print times, ensuring your projects are finished faster with less waste and absolutely no compromises on the quality. Say goodbye to the excess filament poop that comes out the side. The best feature for me though is the build plate size. That extra real estate is already making my 3D print bros envious. I know this because they keep telling me. The Bambu Lab H2D empowers you to achieve incredible results. It's smart, fast and remarkably versatile. Unleash your full creative potential and get your hands on a Bambu Lab H2D by clicking on the link in my description below. Thank you Bambu Lab for sponsoring this video. Now, for this video I did promise windows. Unfortunately the dome is not getting any windows. However, the CNC enclosure is getting many. It was just a couple of months ago. I had never even touched 3D printing and I was just starting to learn some 3D modeling with SketchUp. For the windows, back then I asked my mate Anthony if he could flash up some hexagons that I could click together to make some sort of hexagon cool window. Since then, however, I've started learning Shaper 3D for my 3D printing modeling, and I have taken his design and added a whole heap of bling and other components that are required to make these double pane soundproof windows. I find the best way to learn something is to come up with something a little bit crazy, and you'll soon be made to figure things out. My original plan was to have a TPU gasket printed directly onto the PLA hexagon window. That would potentially lock in a little more noise. These are all good things in theory. However, given I am so new to 3D printing, I thought I would just keep it a little bit simpler for now, and I can learn about all those other dual modes and printing things as I go. From this little project, we can see the complexity of what can be achieved in a very short time if you simply put your mind to it. Having the ability to model a part or any idea, hit the print button, and those parts are now available for the project is pretty unreal. You don't even have to run down to the hardware store. I'll not only print the windows and the frame, there is internal support material, exhaust vents, power cord access holes, 100mm dust extraction ports, and numerous very cool storage solutions, all designed to bling up this very bland matte black plasterboard box. You'll see the rest of those parts as we make our way through the video. And the next video, because I'm literally out of control printing things with this 3D printer. I'm absolutely loving it. It was pretty nice to get the box off my table saw area with this sketchy rail system. Although the saw remained mostly usable throughout the build, it was nice to be able to breathe again around this area. To get the big box inside the dome, I did have to swap out my Ned's woodworking chunky beam that he donated so the box could slide in nicely. So I'll replace that beam shortly. So I've got it in its position, it's all good. I've just brought it forward. I'm just wondering if I can get to the back corner, if I can just take a little bit off. I picked up about an extra 50mm, which all counts to give you as much standing space in front of the enclosure as possible. Massive mess, but totally worth it. When you're working in a dome, every millimetre counts, as they say. So what did this thing cost? I normally build projects from scraps, but this one did cost me a few $100s. Plasterboard, glue, goop, tape, paint, seals, and a little bit of hardware. Not cheap, but totally worth it. And really, when you've got a CNC that is worth a couple of $1,000s, it's not very bright to protect it with a plywood cubby house wrapped in black plastic. This thing deserves a proper home in a dome. That's where it's going. Explanation on the baffle, I've got this piece of plasterboard covered in removalist blanket. You'll notice that it's kicked off at an angle. That's going to allow me to put a vent here. And in the opposite angle, there'll be a vent in there. So as the extractor is sucking, it's actually drawing air in, but the air flows up and over the baffle into the cab here. So that's the gist. So we can't have a vacuum in here sucking all the air out. Air needs to be brought in, and then to reduce the sound escaping out here. Whatever, that's what that does. Whether it works or not, who knows, but that'll do me for now. This project has let me do a few things that I don't normally get to do. Cutting glass is one of those things. Plastering, 3D printing parts, cutting up blankets is some of the other things. And I'm now working on the door for the enclosure. Now, as a reminder, this box was an absolute afterthought. And although I was hopeful for some sort of hinged door, it is simply not going to be possible, well, not so practical in the dome for now. With the door at full swing, it may be a little bit difficult to get the largest pieces in and out of the CNC. And I don't even know if this thing is going to work yet. So I'm just going to get the door on with a couple of latches for now, test it all out. I'll still be able to work just fine. In the next workshop, I really want the dome as a more usable workspace and not just the CNC cubby house. So the CNC can get a better door later on. Unless someone knows the sort of hardware where the door can like, you know, you don't need the sound effects, but a door that pulls out, drops down, I don't know. I think I'll just stick on this old Bell 412 antenna as the lifting mechanism. All right, who's in charge of measuring? So close. Shelby. Who's gonna know? Right, time to install the hexagon windows. And what I learnt from my last video is hexagons are indeed the bestagons. So I have my double pane windows with 10mm acrylic. I had my mate Dan from Riverside Woodworks cut all the acrylic for me. They came out amazing, and then it was simply a case of super gluing a few parts in place. There is probably 1,000 better ways for me to do this whole routine. However, the learn as you go, make stuff up technique has worked out pretty good in the end. Talking voice sound test. No earplugs. Can talk. Quieter than my extractor. Almost quieter than my big ass fan. That's not too bad. Once it hooks into some wood, different story. So, the results. A huge sound reduction. I can now run the CNC without it screaming in my ears while I'm trying to think and do cool woodworking things. That alone makes the spend worthwhile. Final thoughts. This project wasn't technically difficult. Just time, effort, and a lot of climbing in and out of the dome and in and around the enclosure. But it is a big step forward. I've now got a quieter, more professional space that'll grow with me with future workshops. For now, I am stoked. The dome is evolving and the journey continues. Catch you later.